Alright, so welcome back to another flight video. This is going to be off the new laptop I've explained in the previous video. Long story short, I was gaming on the desktop. I got a new laptop. It's a gaming laptop, better specs. So far the game has run notably smoother off this. It's not on ultra or anything, but we upped it from medium, added some customized stuff, or we're using the customized option, up the resolution and textures for buildings and lighting and so forth. Not everything on high ultra runs well, but there's definitely an improvement and it looks better as well. So I thought maybe for a first full video of kind of covering something, I actually was thinking about going over the Los Angeles area. I'm mostly going to focus on the LA area, not going to Orange County this time. I will fly out east out of Los Angeles County to Ontario International, the land. Kind of wrap up the video, just have a point A to point B. But anyway, I kind of want to go over it because I've been out there a few times, and actually I've really enjoyed my time out there. And I think it's a city that's it's very unique compared to, let's say, the East Coast cities. Especially the older cities like New York or Boston or Chicago, and I feel like it deserves. It gets a bad rap in some regards that are legitimate. And I think sometimes it's something that. But then there's some aspects like, here people are like, oh, it didn't have a sense of community, it's plastic, that they didn't really get out, let's say, the more touristy areas and got more into like the true neighborhood and kind of like the community of Southern California, like the true Southern California vibe, which isn't really Venice Beach per se. Yeah, it has its own unique, it's unique in its own way, but like, you go to like Long Beach or you go into parts of Orange County, and then you got a sense more of like, true like Southern California in that community. So I just kind of want to go over that, go over some cool stuff, see how it looks in this game. I know there's probably not too many landmarks, but I'm sure there's a few. And, just kind of play it from here. One thing we'll start off, and we're starting out of a gate actually at LAX. So I'm going to talk a little bit about LAX. I won't go too much in details of history and stuff. But I did want to go over, let's say, its current status as a global airport. And it's not the busiest in the U.S. The busiest in the U.S. is usually Atlanta, and then like Chicago here is right behind. But then the LAX is like 3. Actually, I see them put 3 and 2, sometimes 4. Atlanta always seems to take that spot. Because Delta puts everything through Atlanta. But LAX is one of the busiest airports in the U.S. and is one of the busiest in the world. Alright, let's get this started. Yeah, I'm just doing the automated control. I see we're starting at a gate. One issue I'm seeing here is I haven't seen many airport lighting. Like, it's so dark. I just haven't figured out why that is. Do you think there'd be a lot more light? I mean, the runways look good, but nothing else does. But anyway, I think I have enough space here I can get out if I crash in the plane. We'll give it a try. I don't feel like doing a pushback. There we go. Do Los Angeles clearance. We're going to do straight out.
Los Angeles Ground Beach Craft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra.
This is a handcrafted airport, though, so I know it's like these columns, which are just kind of little artistic columns that go into the airport. So that's there. I want to say I'm going out of the United Terminal. I'll explain that in a second. All right. Okay, we did do it. We pulled it off. All right, perfect. All right, so anyway, so I decided to concentrate so I didn't crash into the building. That was the first goal. We accomplished that. Now we're moving on. So anyway, so a little interesting, and this is just about the current status of LAX. LAX is probably one of the most unique airports in the U.S., but in the world per se. It is a hub for all 3 legacy airlines. Oh shit! Fix that. So United, Delta, and American all have a hub here. And then Southwest Airlines has a hub here. JetBlue is moving from Long Beach to LAX as a focus city. I don't think it's going to be designated as a hub, but it's not that big, but enough to be a notable impact. And I think Alaska Airlines has designated as a hub as a focus city as well. They have a presence also in San Diego, so it could almost like use as a secondary airport, kind of like, let's say, Milwaukee to Chicago. That you're 90-ish miles away. But that being said, they still got it's designated. So you got your three major legacy, the massive airlines. Southwest, which is pretty almost on par of a legacy in terms of size, at least domestic traffic-wise. International, that's a different story. Sorry, I'm drifting off. But so that's what makes it unique. Because you look O'Hare, that's one of the few other airports got two of the legacy airlines as a hub, American and United. But otherwise, it becomes most airports are by themselves. So you look at New York, they have three airports. United's hub is at Newark. American is at JFK, and Delta is at LaGuardia. I'm not sure how Southwest. I think their hub was Long Island for a long time, or a focus city. Like their hub, their system, which is a little different. So, anyway, let's get to tower. Park it here. That's good.
Los Angeles Tower Beechcraft Alpha Sierra.
Oh yeah, see, there's American Airlines, SkyWest, that's a smaller airline.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra cleared for takeoff runway 25 right straight out departure approved.
Alright. Let's go. But yeah, so it's a pretty unique in that regard. It's a major hub for all of them. Now, that said, it's a big airport. It's a very big airport. But each airline is not able to, let's say, do a massive amount of direct flights as much, you would say, out of their own hub. Like you compare it to American and Phoenix or Dallas. United, definitely a smaller blue plane here than, let's say, up in San Francisco, which is where their main West Coast hub, or Denver, per se. Now, it doesn't say there's nothing by any means. So, like, out of LAX, like, with United, they got a lot of West Coast regional flights. You can go to places in the Rockies, up in, like, I think Montana, obviously Portland, and so forth. But then you look across country, I think they got, like, a weird one, like the Madison of all places. Not sure why, per se. I mean, maybe, get Wisconsin, but, they go to Chicago, which is a hub. But anyway, most of their cross-country traffic is basically just other hubs. I don't think I think they may go to D.C., like Reagan, but they have a hub at Dulles, so they'll just use that instead if you flew. So, it's Pacific Ocean, it's nighttime. You know what? Hold on. Sorry, we're going to go left. We're going to go over, I think it's El Renado Beach. I've stayed out here. So, but anyway, so yeah, just a little interesting about LAX. Now it's kind of cool. Cool if you've been out there, just like random, like like only the locals would know. We just would not realize unless you visited. Yeah, we're good now. So the area south of here, it's like I think it's El Renado, or El Segundo area. Like stuff like Manhattan Beach and stuff. These are really rich areas. But then like inland here, like these many areas, you actually have if you ever drive through here, you're ever out here, there's a lot of defense firms. You'll see Lockheed Martin, Boeing, I think Honeywell, a lot of defense. A lot of defense and aerospace firms. And and there's actually there's a little history here. I kind of looked up because I was curious about this. LA used to have and it still does, but nothing like, let's say, 40 years ago, but a very notable aerospace defense market out there. The climate's perfect. You can test year round without issues. And then you got an educated base. You got good schools. Like, it made sense why you would see all these major aerospace and defense firms out there for years. And during the Cold War especially, it was very notable. A lot of you know, there was a lot of jobs out here in this region that was tied to the Airspace and Defense Force. And I don't know if they were just like this little spot right there. I think they had like offices sites around the whole region. But just to point out, it was a big part of it, especially during the Cold War. And then when the Cold War ended, you know, the U.S. went into a recession in the early 90s, but it was particularly bad, you know, in parts of L.A. because a lot of white-collar people lost their jobs and layoffs when defense spending and, like, the Cold War era ended. You know, a lot of the projects they're working on were not as, you know, useful anymore. They basically were cut. So it's, yeah, a lot of history. Like, you know, you think of, you know, Cold War and like defense spending. You always think of like out east in D.C. area of all the, you know, like, you know, because you go out there, you got all the Air Force bases and so forth, but you got like all the lobbying. Those groups are out there. Like you go like around Maryland, you'll find Boeing offices and Lockheed Martin and all that. Actually, I think Lockheed's based out of Maryland at their headquarters. So, but instead, you know, LA was actually a very important market for during that era. That it's kind of like more like forgotten history, you know, just like it was just more like a cultural regional thing. But you know, it was a big part of like, I wouldn't say deep, you know, like obviously TV and movies are a big part. That was like a big part of like, let's say the non-entertainment sector out there for a long time. Nowadays it's a lot more diverse, but you know, especially with the growth of technology, you know, like internet technology, marketing and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of these firms out there, especially in Santa Monica and so forth. But yeah, you can see, I say to keep live weather on. I know it's a little cloudy, but this is just kind of going over the neighborhoods, kind of like, you know, outside of Los Angeles Airport. Now, my big goal, we're gonna try and use this map as best as I can. It may not go well. I want to say. Let's say it's somewhere up here. It's the Getty. Ooh. Let's get back up. So I'm gonna pull up a map on my phone just to make sure. But yeah, so you know that's the. So I'm gonna start going to a little bit of like LA and its culture, just as an outsider. Let me put it this way. You know, I don't live there. Obviously, it's gonna be different from, let's say, a true local. But you know, at the same time, you also have a lot of you know, transports as well that have their own kind of take and stuff. So the Getty is somewhere around here. This is a highway, I believe, and this is the highway we want. So yeah, we gotta go left. All right. I'm gonna have to turn live weather. I didn't expect it to be this cloudy. Yeah, sorry. A few clouds, please. Thank you. I mean, look at it. Look how quick it is now, and that's better. This will make it easier to see. I was like literally flying blind there. But anyway, so we're heading to this. So I want to go a little of the culture. Like, for example, out here, this is like Santa Monica, Venice Beach is over here. I kind of tell. So these are highways, I believe, like these lines, because that looks like Interstate 10, which ends right there at the Pacific. Actually, yeah, see right there. So this is Interstate 10. And it goes right there to Santa Monica. Yeah, see right there, Santa Monica Municipal Airport. Yeah, small little airport over there. Nothing usually in the world is going to stand out from there. But anyway. But, like, this is the problem when you go to LA, is that you're going to go to places like Venice Beach. Actually, Santa Monica is kind of nice. There's a little, like, vibe, you know, in the downtown area. But it's somewhat of a rich, posh vibe. You know, like, you know, if you're staying there, it's nice little boutique hotels and, you know, nice little shots, but they're kind of pricey. You know, restaurants and bars, but, again, a little expensive, you know, a little more. You know, they're not dive bars meetings. They're like bars you dress nice and you go and you have a good time, you know, in a nice, elegant setting. You know, not like, you know, like formal by any means, but, you know, like a business casual, or like nice jeans and, you know, a collar shirt. So, but when people go out there, that's what they're experiencing. They're going mostly through there. They're going through Hollywood, which we'll fly over in a bit. And, you know, it's all touristy. Like, it feels more plastic, or let's say rich. Like, you know, areas around Santa Monica, those are very expensive areas. Like, you are looking at like houses in the, like 7 figures easily. Maybe a townhouse might be still 6 figures, but it's gonna be like $700,000-800,000 easily in this region. So you don't really get, the true. Let's say, okay, I'm just an everyday person visiting LA. I don't get to see that. I'm just seeing more like if I was an elite rich person, then I get to enjoy it. So that's just an example. And what I always recommend, like, and this is where it gets a bad rap. Let me rephrase that. Where it gets a bad rap, and understandably so. It's nothing. It's just like, okay, yeah, you go to Venice Beach, you got people pressuring you to buy crappy T-shirts and junk that you're never going to use in your life. So it's like, what's the point? There's nothing here. I mean, unless I want to like go and surfing or bulk up, at the outdoor, famous outdoor gym, there's nothing really unique. It just kind of gets old. And it's a shame. People always go see that, and it's cool to see it once or twice, but it's not really truly capturing the LA area. Because like a good example, like we're starting to. I don't even argue maybe LA County might not be the best. You probably see more in San Bernardino County or down in Orange County or the other counties are more, everyday, truly everyday LA life. Sorry, 1 second. I gotta get my bearings. I want to say the Getty's somewhere over here, but we may not see it. I'm going to try something crazy. Oh, never mind. It's not working on this here. I can't pause it right now, so sorry about that. I'm going to have to turn around here. So up there, so this is San Fernando Valley. I think San Bernardino? Let's take a look. I'm confusing all my valleys now. We'll turn around here a second. So yeah, we went over the Getty. So it didn't light up, so it didn't build it. Oh, wait a minute. This is it, I think. Yeah. Oh, but up in this area, this is kind of where they have a lot of the TV studios, actually, the movie studios. A lot, and I mean, like, maybe not their offices, like the older famous offices, but the, like, sets, it'd be just. Not all of them, obviously, they're all over the region, but they have, like, quite a few up there. You see shows like Big Brother and CBS and stuff are filmed up there. I don't think Hell's Kitchen was filmed there. I want to say this is supposed to be the Getty, but that doesn't look right. No. I mean, we're probably going to go over it here soon. Because you have like this little road and stuff, but it's more like a staff only, and you have like. Oh no, there's this. So, this is like. I think that's the Getty. I feel like it was higher, but it could be. Or is this it? So the Getty. Sorry, I'm trying to find it, but it's really hard because I don't have any lights on. I think that's it. Actually, I'm pretty sure that is it. Yeah, that looks right. So the Getty's a really famous art museum. Incredible. It's free to enter, but you got to pay for parking, which is like $20-ish, $25. But they don't charge you per person in the car. So, if you carpool with like 3-4 people, it's a pretty good deal. There's also like a bus that goes through there and stuff, but I'm not too familiar with that system as well. So, but anyway, that's actually one of my favorite art museums I've been to, just in the U.S. but in the world. I won't say the favorite, because honestly, I can make an argument of like, what is the best art museum out there on Earth? Like, I can make an argument for the Chicago Art Institute. I can make an argument for the Louvre, obviously. I can make an argument for the Orsay. I can make an argument for the National Museum in Japan, or Tokyo, Japan. I can definitely make an argument for the Getty. But it's something I recommend everyone go to. And the coolest thing, the architecture is amazing. It was built like 97. It's already like over 20 years old. The architecture has really, I think it's going to age well for years. It looks still super modern and very unique. that you just don't see really, that's not an easy thing to capture. And on top of that, you got multiple galleries, different genres. It isn't just American art. You got, you got Renaissance art in there. You got impressionist art, like Van Goghs and so forth. So it's highly recommended. Now this is Santa Monica, and we're gonna circle back now to the cultural stuff. I always tell them like go to these places, check it out once, but it doesn't really truly capture LA. Like for me, and this is where again I really enjoyed the last couple of trips to LA. Is I stayed on I went off the beaten path. I didn't just like go to the tourist areas. We drove around and kind of like checked, like I was with a family, checked out like Long Beach, for example, which is south of LA. It's like straight south from downtown, southeast from where we're currently flying. And you go down there, it's cool. You go to these it's like a strip or like a main street, and you have these old like 1950s looking neon signs. You see a lot of restaurants, but they're not expensive. They're just like casual. You see a lot of like people that don't seem like they're super rich or they're like tourists. Like they're just truly the locals. And it's like in those places or even some of the bars and you go to, you start talking, you realize they're just everyday. Not just the fact they're everyday people like us, but it's like you realize I can actually relate to them in a lot of ways, especially because in LA's particular, like. I met quite a few Midwest transplants when I was out there, just in, at bars and stuff. Even like a person that went to my alma mater, University of Missouri. Small world, but just like it should. And then look at Mizzou has a notable alumni presence out there, and and that's the LA I really end up enjoying because not just because of some familiarity of like knowing like people that places that like a school I went to, but it's like you start talking to them, they're pretty humble and down to earth. You easy to have a beer and enjoy your time with them. I had that at bars with locals in LA and San Francisco, and another guy was like from San Francisco. And that's the part I really want to recommend people is like you need to get out away from Hollywood, get away from Beverly Hills, get away from Venice Beach, and go to places like Long Beach, or even like go to Torrance. Torrance, California is its own city. It's actually between Long Beach and LA. It's kind of weird. LA County is like a weird looking shape. I can't really describe it. Well, just south of LAX, you hit Torrance about I think it's like 8 to 10 miles. Like El Segundo and those like Manhattan Beach is part of LA County or LA City. Then it becomes Torrance is a separate entity altogether. And Torrance has a long history with Japanese Americans in the U.S., especially in Southern California. Main reason for that is because Toyota's headquarters used to be there. It's not anymore. They relocated to Plano. But, that was kind of like a big part of it. And then, a lot of other major, especially during the Japan bubble, or let's not say bubble, during their economic growth, they started putting a lot of offices in Southern California, and that kind of became their rich community. And you go like in the Torrance, tons of good Japanese food. I've been to only a couple places during my brief trips out there. So I'm only out there usually like 4 or 5 days at most. But tons of good Japanese food. Very cool. Just like you go in there and it feels like going to Japanese restaurants that I live here in the suburbs of Chicago. Like the actual authentic ones are changed from Japan. It's like, it's a high mix of people. Americans like me that appreciate the cuisine and, locals and, people who are actually Japanese or let's say other parts of Asia. They just love a good bowl of ramen, basically. And it feels like, casual every day. It didn't feel like, I was in like Hollywood and everything's like trying to be super touristy and just pretentious. So we're gonna go over downtown LA a little bit. I'm gonna pause. We're gonna do kind of a couple weird circles around this area before we start heading back east. And maybe go back a little more about, my trips out there in a bit. Let's slow this down to 40. That looks good. So far, yeah, it's more AI generated, but it looks fine. Looks fine. So it's like downtown LA. Over there's the Staples Center Convention Center. I can't get paused to work right now. I'll figure that out later. And then like, you know, I mean, obviously it's just downtown. You know, this is that famous U.S. Bank building. Has been recreated, but at least it's got the shape right. And then over here, it's like the old-fashioned textile district. You do have like little Tokyo around here, I believe. So yeah, there's a couple sites. I'm trying to point out like where it is. You know, it's around here. It's like Little Tokyo. Obviously, I won't really recreate it too well from here. Anyway, let's circle around. But yeah, I recommend you check out Little Tokyo. Obviously, some good there's a lot of decent amount of restaurants, but there's some cool shops there. You know, it's like it's like a little like a brief like gateway into Japan and like Japanese culture, and you know you have like stores with like all kinds of cool like anime merch, stuff from Japan that you don't normally can find. Maybe that's an anime convention, but it's year round there. And, there's a market, there's a couple of markets there and so forth, but you also got like Japanese grocery store chain like Mitsuya throughout Southern California that's really good. Yeah, it's a little hard to tell with this, but anyway, but very cool area. And then nearby you also got Grand Central Market. That is very cool. It's like it's kind of weird. It's like a farmer's market design, but modernized, where it's a lot of food stands. So you go in there, you got your course, like stuff you expect inside. You got taco stands, but then you got like Filipino food stands. You got loads like sushi. I mean, you can find everything in there. It's just incredible. And they do sell fresh produce and stuff. It's very cool. I always want to go there, try, and it's just great to get some great street food. And then back here, Staples Center, but this is the LA Convention Center. I've actually been there for Anime Expo, which is the largest anime convention in the U.S. It has usually over 100,000 attendees each year, minus 2020 for obvious reasons, which is a shame. It's supposed to be, I think, the 30th year. It's going to be 30th year / show, but I think they're going to make next year the 30th show because they decided not to do a show. It's like, they did like Anime Light, like an online show, but they really want to keep that 30th anniversary going. Oh no, next year's 30th. I'm sorry, it was 91. So that's still intact, hopefully. But anyway, pretty cool. Obviously, the touristy. One thing that was cool when they did the convention, they did have like this little parking lot nearby. It was like food truck row, so a lot of the food trucks would be there. But obviously, it's all, I wouldn't say regulated, but it's like part of the convention center. So obviously, there's like, they gotta get permits to them and so forth. But I actually don't mind downtown LA. There's some, it's not too lively, but at least there's some cool little areas like the Grand Central Market. Mention Little Tokyo, and then you'll find some cool little restaurants down there. Like I found a cool little Chinese American diner that served breakfast, and you get like, eggs and bacon, and it comes with a side of fried rice. Like it's like really well done. Steak and eggs was good, so like marinated the steak in soy sauce, give it some really good flavor to it. I did want to go over Hollywood just real quick. I'll be honest, there's not much I really need to say. I think everyone knows about, famous theater and stuff. I mean, I've been to Hollywood a couple times. It's cool to do once, but it's just very, it's so touristy. It's like, it's just cool to see the stars, on the ground, and there's some famous places you can like walk by and kind of, there'll be like some plaques and history about it, but otherwise there's not much to it, to be honest. It's just kind of, it's just there. Like, and I'm not the only one that's felt that way, that's been there. Like, it's cool to do once. I haven't been to the Egyptian Theater, like inside. I've been by it. If I could see a show there, I think I would like to do that once to see that. But but it's like all those big premieres. I mean, you're not gonna get tickets for that. That's first. So, and it's kind of interesting. You kind of see it. Just look at this like skyscrapers. There are somewhat taller-ish buildings for the region. But they're like 6 to 10 stories. Usually this highway here is always pretty congested to find through here. We'll go over the Hollywood sign, then we start heading east towards Ontario. These are the Hollywood Hills. Obviously a lot of rich, very expensive houses. I think I've driven around the Hollywood Hills a little bit. It's kind of cool. It's, you kind of see some of these mansions, but it's like very windy roads and, somewhat, I wouldn't say forest, but, a lot of trees and so forth. So it's pretty peaceful actually, kind of driving around. This is the Hollywood sign. It's not light up right now. Never, they did recreate it, so I appreciate that. So yeah, there it is. Like, to put those lights on, but they didn't put it right there. So yeah, we're gonna start heading east. So anyway, yeah, and over here, you actually, it's like in this area, you have a lot of your film studios and stuff. I'll be honest, like, when you see it from the satellite, it don't stand out. It's not like there's all this cool stuff on the roof and stuff. You can tell that's a studio of some kind. It's just like a generic building, basically. But inside, it's where all the magic happens. Alright, this is Glendale. Kind of like... it's restricting them with the suburbs. I know, like, Pasadena's in this area as well. So, but kind of going back to, the culture of Southern California. And I'll go back on my past trips now. I've been out there a few times. I've been out there. The first time I went out there was in 06. My dad was on a business trip. He took me out there. It was a couple of days. I was in high school, so I was able to take care of myself. But I didn't like it at the time because, one, and this is a true negative, and you gotta be honest, it's very sprawled out. Like, you can tell it's very sprawled out. It takes a while to get around places. That was my first issue. But then at the time, I was living in rural Missouri. Oh, no. Okay, it's just the tower going off. So... it didn't seem appealing, but I was 16 at the time, 15, 16, so it was a different mentality for me at the time. I didn't know. Did like the weather, of course, but it didn't seem like my cup of tea by any means. So, but then I got older. I went back out there first couple of years ago. Me and my dad went out there for a little father-son trip, go to some baseball games, check out Dodger Stadium. Which is kind of... Actually, Dodger Stadium is like right around this area. Not the best part of town, by the way, but a cool stadium, though. I did the Dodger games and just kind of, tourist around, check out the Getty again. There's actually a second Getty north of Santa Monica. Again, if I flew over, we couldn't tell. But it's like actually kind of like almost like off the ocean. And there it's just almost like all like Roman and Greek mythology artwork. Very beautiful and cool. You learn a lot of history, of the Roman Empire and Greek mythology. So, but to that point, I did that, enjoyed it. Especially the museum scene, the culture scene, because I've grown much more into that as I got older. But then the food scene was good, especially because we got away, as I said, from the the tourist areas into the true neighborhoods. Like this area's here, like we're going. I think this is Pasadena. I could be wrong. I'm just taking a guess from where we are on the map. It might be down here. But this is the true Los Angeles area. You have all these cities and communities. And when I went in there and just kind of like, all of a sudden, just like dining or drinking and talking to people, then you got a sense of a community. You really got a sense, hey, those people, they actually cared where they are. They cared about their neighbors. It wasn't like this rich tourist or posh area where it's just very plastically. It felt real. And you can actually make that argument with any city, but LA gets a notable rap for the plasticky because, obviously, for obvious reasons. But, it's, as I said, it's so massive and sprawling. In reality, there's a lot of communities, and there's a sense of that. But, we got to get off, like, truly the beaten path of, let's say, truly where the locals are. Then the last time I was out there was last year for, I mentioned the Anime Expo convention at the downtown center. I was by myself, and I stayed in El Seguano just because it was like only like a 30-ish minute drive at most. to get to downtown on the July 4th weekend. That was the goal, is just to get to and from the convention easily. But some of the free time when I had some time at the convention, I looked on, I did ramen place in Torrance. I found this taco. There's actually a taco truck in, I think, called Taco John's. It was really awesome. And it was like cheap. It was like 3 tacos and a soda for like $6. And they have like a stand for cilantro and onions. Great hot sauce. So it's like, that's what gets really cool when you get out there. And the same when I kind of, was at the convention and they at least had all the food trucks. I had a good taste of like a lot of the, various cuisines that are around LA in those food trucks. There's some would be typical like pizza and stuff, and they'd be like, different dishes, Mexican dishes I haven't had before. Obviously, stuff from the Philippines and so forth. And, really made me appreciate, started made me appreciate more of, like, the LA area that, isn't just some cultural wasteland or plastic or pretentious. There's a lot of cool areas and a lot of, especially at the convention, a lot of local people that were nice and cool. Like, easy I could, live out there and get along with them and hang out with them. And, as I said, you can say that for anywhere in the world probably, but just, it's interesting you see these areas that get, a bad rap and you just don't know why. And it's kind of a shame that LA did, because I do feel like it deserves a better, there's a lot more to the region. You can find, I would say cooler stuff, because obviously, where tourists are is where all the cool stuff is, let's be honest. But a sense of community and just some really, really humble and enjoyable people to be with, and just kind of there's more to California than just Hollywood, or Los Angeles in the Hollywood area. And then, of course, they had Orange County, and the other part I've really grown to like about the area that's kind of neat is you got so much nearby. San Diego's only a 2-hour drive. You got a lot of mountains. You can actually go, I'm not sure how far north. I want to say it's 2 to 3 hours north, and then all of a sudden you got mountains that are decent for snowboarding or skiing. That's all within a reasonable drive of where you live in, in the LA area. And then, of course, you got LAX, which, it depends with COVID. I'm not sure how lopsided it is, but, you actually have, good chances to get basically, you can go up to San Francisco and see kinds of stuff. You can take a flight up to Seattle or go to Colorado Rockies, within 2 hours. I think Seattle is probably more 3.5, 3 to 4, because it is coast to coast. But at least with the Rockies and stuff, it's only it's only a 2-hour flight to Denver, I think, 2.5 tops. So it's there's so much out there and nearby. So you can go to Arizona. If you live out there, you go down to Arizona, it's a 90-minute flight, I think, top. It's a 90-minute flight. Actually, it's probably less than that, true air time. And it's I can go watch spring training all March. Go see the Dodgers, see the Angels, see Padres, see anyone, that's in the Cactus League. The Cubs are out there, so you can go see some teams you don't see too often. So it's just, that's what's really cool. At the same time, just add in the city itself and the region. It's okay, it's going to get all these big concerts. It's going to get these big sporting events. It's going to, it's got the Super Bowl soon. It's got the Rams and Chargers now. It's got the Olympics. There's a lot going for it. And, and that's why I just support people. Granted, I ain't saying it's not for everyone. The city is not. The region's not. But it's they really just need to get out. The negative image is really not warranted. Let's say outside of traffic as well. There's no way around that. But in terms of the people, the neighborhoods, no, there's a lot more to it that people just seem to not truly grasp, because they kind of get stuck into these, just sticking in these tourist areas, and really just, it's not really, Los Angeles proper, or Los Angeles itself. It's just really these tourists and very classic areas of LA that's just shown really to, it's supposed just for tourism, nothing much more. So. Yeah, that's cool. Now you see all these planes. See, they're on their descent path into LAX. we're almost there. Now, Ontario is some of the major airlines do go there. More like regional, like I think United does from Denver or something, like say. Alright. We're getting close. So, yeah, I said go Ontario. It's a little ways out there. It's kind of like, we're not in LA County, but these are like all part of the LA metro area. But, as I say, they're pretty self-sustainable. Like, there's a lot of offices and businesses in Ontario, so there's a good chance that you live out here, you probably work in the region, in the Ontario nearby. If you work in downtown LA, I mean, good luck with that drive. That's a long drive. I'd say, I think from here to downtown is a good hour, maybe probably longer with traffic. I mean, it's a good 40, 50 miles roughly. But then again, in Chicago, we got people living in Joliet that go downtown. That's a good 45 miles. I mean, they take the train, but still. Alright. Oh, yeah. That's China Southern. That's kind of neat. Yeah. LAX obviously gets a lot of the international flights as well.
Ontario Tower Beach Craft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is 10 miles west of Alpha to land.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Ontario Tower. Fly left traffic runway 26 right. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er to wind 257 at 7.
Fly left traffic runway 26 right Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
26 high. I assume it's that. No, they want me to go. That's it, see? So it's on the other side. Alright. Huh. This is American Airlines, by the way. Alright. So we'll go around and circle in. I want to feel like that's the airport up ahead. Oh, I think at Ontario Airport's where they filmed 24 once. This is like a hostage situation in an airport in 24 in one of the seasons. I think it was based in Ontario. Obviously, no way they'd find time to fit in LAX. So, oh yeah, I guess the last thing to kind of end this before I land, you can't beat the weather. Now, the weather's really cool too, so like, or very unique, actually, not cool. Like when you're near the beach, in that area, it's very cold, like chilly. Like it'd be like in the 60s most of the year round. It ain't cool. You get a good breeze. Like it's a really chilly. When you go like inland to Ontario, it's like desert climate. It's drier. And it's a lot hotter. Usually be in the 90s to 100, especially in the summer. Obviously, winter would be a different story. While the coastal is more like a Mediterranean climate, just because of the ocean. So yeah, it's really. I mean, even they go downtown LA to like the coast, you see a difference of the weather, and obviously as you go a little more inland, you truly see it. So, but yeah, it's pretty. That's the one thing. And I learned that the first time I learned it was in San Diego, just because. I was in San Diego. That kind of caught me off guard. This was like my first time in Southern California too. Just how different the weather pattern. The temperature changes as you go inland a little bit, and then at the same time, it would be like in the morning. You see a lot more fog and stuff, especially like right off the coast. And that's same in LA and San Diego, San Francisco, and then it kind of goes away as the sun warms up. But if you go like inland, that fog is not there. You know, it's really just off the coast. Oh, there's Ontario Airport. Hope to God we're getting this right. Let's just study this out. I see.
Ontario Tower Southwest 2174 and runway 26 left ready for takeoff by Agmartian Capital.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Southwest Airlines. Yeah, that's the.
For takeoff runway 26 left.
They do fly Ontario. Ooh.
Clear for takeoff runway 26 left Southwest 2174.
It's this KONT. It doesn't say where it's going though.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra clear to land.
They got we're going to 26R. I don't have to deal with them.
257 at 7.
Clear to land runway.
That's kind of neat. This is actually.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
I got all live traffic on right now. So yeah, that's a plane that's trying to take off. Obviously, in real life, it's probably still waiting for clearance. You know, which is understandable. When we looked earlier, we saw those planes coming into LAX. Oh yeah, I just gotta remember some other cool stuff. There's a lot of cool museums besides the Getty I mentioned. I actually saw a car museum and had a lot of history of like racing and the impact of Southern California on automobiles and automobile research as well. Because again, it was one of the few climates they could test year round where they didn't have to deal with winter or, you know, it's like almost like, I wouldn't say perfect conditions by any means, but a drier, arid, and more predictable climate do kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. Ooh. Alright, let's see if we can get this right. We've gotten one landing okay today. I feel like I'm way too high, but at least we're going slow. %, that looks fine. I am a little off.
500.
Ooh.
Southwest 2174 contact. SoCal departure on 125.5.
Oh wow, look at that, Southwest Airlines took off. Oh, that's so cool. I just love that stuff.
Going to 1.25.5 Southwest 2174.
Oh yeah, it's already turned pretty plenty of runway to work with.
Stall.
That was a pretty decent landing, I say so myself.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra turn next taxiway.
All right. I am going really, really fast. So let's turn that down. Let's try 10%.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra exit runway when able.
Not able to yet. Oh, there we go. We can up here.
Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra contact ground on 121.9er.
All right, let's get some parking and wrap this video up.
21.9er Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra. Ontario ground Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra taxi to the gate.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra taxi to gate 59er using taxiway Bravo Charlie.
All right, that looks good.
Taxiing to gate 59er using taxiway Bravo Charlie Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Yeah, this is more just trying to enjoy the taxi and trying to get better at it. Obviously, I need these guides on. I mean, I know if you have the true map or, you know, like a map book, or look at the ground, you could probably figure out where you need to go, but look at the signs. But this is a little faster than me just standing there moving the camera around for 10 minutes figuring it out. A decent amount of airline planes right here. Yeah, that went fine. Yeah, me and my little propeller planes are gonna park with the big boys. It's actually a bigger airport than I thought it would be. This is pretty decent size. I know John Wayne Airport's a decent sized airport. That's the airport in Orange County area. Ontario, yeah, it's a little bigger than I thought. I know from a passenger standpoint, it's not massive by any means, but you know, definitely decent. Yeah. Almost there. As always, the airport. Almost. Ah, didn't kill him. Alright, look at that. The airport worker. Yeah, that's creepy. I see you. Yeah, let's see how this works. It did. That's a first. Well, anyway, hoping you guys enjoyed the video. Just a little like tour around LA, see some of the lights, and talk about, you know, rambling on about a bunch of stuff around the region. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a good one.